She was hungry and desperate, begging for scraps outside a luxury restaurant. But when she told the paralyzed millionaire she could trade his leftovers for a cure, he laughed until everything changed. It was nearly midnight, and the rain hadn't let up in hours. Mia stood shivering beneath the awning of Louvre, the most expensive restaurant in the city. Her hoodie was soaked, her shoes falling apart. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. She didn't want money. She didn't want pity. She just wanted food. Anything. As guests exited with to-go bags and smug grins, she tried asking gently, "Excuse me, sir, if you're not going to finish that." Most ignored her. A few gave her side eyes. One lady clutched her pearls and rushed past. Then a black van pulled up. 2 men stepped out and carefully lowered a man in a wheelchair onto the pavement. She recognized him instantly. Julian Vance, the youngest tech billionaire in the country, paralyzed from the waist down after a racing accident 2 years ago. Rumor was he hadn't smiled since. He was cold, sharp, and untouchable. The kind of man who wouldn't blink if someone begged at his feet. But Mia didn't step back. She stepped forward. "Hey," she said gently, "I'll trade you your leftovers for a cure." His eyebrows rose. Then, for the first time in years, he laughed. A bitter, hollow laugh. "You're starving and broke," he said. "And you think you can cure me?" Mia looked him dead in the eyes. "I don't have much, but I have something no one else offered you, hope." He was still smirking, but the light in his eyes flickered, because no one had dared say something like that to him since the chair. Julian motioned for his aide to pause. The rain tapped softly on the van roof behind him as he studied Mia. Soaked, skinny, barely more than a shadow. Yet she stood tall, chin up, staring at him like he was just a man, not a broken legend in a $10,000 coat. "You're serious?" he asked, voice low. "What kind of cure could a girl in rags possibly have?" Mia shrugged. "Not a miracle, not a drug. But I work at a rehab shelter downtown, or I did before funding ran out. I've seen people walk again, move again, hope again. I've watched patients do things their doctors swore were impossible." He raised a brow. "And you think I'd waste my time there?" She smiled. "You just wasted 20 grand on steak and wine you didn't finish. What's one more gamble?" Julian glanced down at the untouched meal on his lap. The smell didn't tempt him. Nothing did anymore. "You've got 5 minutes, he said suddenly. "Get in the van." Mia blinked. "Wait, seriously? I'm not promising anything," he said flatly. "But I want to see this magical place of yours." A moment later, the van door closed behind them. The driver looked shocked. Julian had never allowed strangers in his personal space, let alone someone like her. As they drove through the storm, Mia told him about the center. About Mr. Alvarez, the ex-firefighter who learned to walk again. About Lena, the ballerina who trained her paralyzed arm to paint. Not cures, maybe, but courage. Julian said little, but something in his jaw softened. When they arrived, the building was dark, closed, silent. She fumbled for a flashlight. "We lost power last month," she admitted. "And funding. But the equipment still works. I kept it clean. Just, no one believes in it anymore." Julian stared through the cracked glass windows into the ghost of what once was. And then he whispered, "Let's turn the lights back on over the next few weeks." Everything began to shift. Julian didn't announce it in the press. He didn't post about it online. But quietly, he funded the full restoration of the rehab center. New floors, working lights, top-tier equipment, and staff that Mia handpicked from her old contacts. Still, everyone was shocked when they saw him there. The Julian Vance, rolling into a place with cracked walls and secondhand mats. No bodyguards, no reporters, just him and a girl who once asked for scraps. At first, he watched, observed, detached. But one morning, Mia rolled a stability bar in front of him and said, "You're not just here to look, you're here to try." Julian scoffed. "You realize how many doctors I've paid to tell me I'm stuck like this?" She looked him straight in the eye. "None of them cared if you gave up. I do." He stared at her, and for the first time didn't argue. The sessions began. Slowly, awkwardly, painfully. There were days when he couldn't even twitch a toe. Days when he cursed under his breath. But Mia never stopped showing up. Coaching, encouraging, sometimes just sitting beside him in silence. And then it happened. A flicker of muscle in his right leg. He thought he imagined it. Mia didn't. She jumped up, eyes wide. "You moved." Julian blinked. "No, it was just a spasm." "No," she insisted, tears brimming. "That was you." Word spread through the center like wildfire. The billionaire in the chair had moved. And the girl who gave him hope was the reason. And just like that, the center wasn't a forgotten building anymore. It became a place of miracles. 3 months later, the grand reopening of the center drew a small crowd. But no reporters, no fanfare. Just patience, staff, and a man once known for keeping the world at arm's length. Now standing, gripping parallel bars, sweat on his brow and determination in his eyes. Yes, standing. Not walking yet, not steady, but up on his own 2 feet. Julian's therapist clapped. A few people cheered. But it was Mia, standing in the corner, hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks, who made him smile. She had given him more than movement. She had given him reason. After the session, Julian wheeled back over to her. He handed her a sealed envelope and said, "For the center, and for you." Inside was a check 7 figures. Enough to keep the doors open for years. But there was something else, too. A contract. Mia Carter, executive director. She looked up at him, stunned. "I didn't do this for money." "I know," he said softly. "That's why you deserve it." That night, Julian didn't return to his penthouse. He stayed in a small office at the center, watching the security footage of that first night she'd brought him here. A girl in rags offering a cure in exchange for cold leftovers. He smiled, shaking his head, because in trying to test her desperation, he discovered his own healing. And every time someone asked how the mighty Julian Vance took his first steps again, he would simply say, "A girl gave me her last ounce of hope, and I gave her a reason to keep giving it."